Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to give a warm welcome to Congressman and your future U.S. Senator, Mike Collins.
Well, hello, fellow patriots. Woo! Did y'all like the speakers? I did too. I can't go through and just thank all of them enough for what they had to say. But I did want to point out a couple of folks. You know, we had the Super Bowl champion here, Mr. Burgess Owens. Where's Burgess? There he is. I see him laying up. Now, I want to tell y'all something real quick, and then I'm going to get on with the speech. But now, Burgess and I have been around the country doing these hearings where we go and we listen to people, we try to solve some problems. Everywhere we go, the only person people want to see is Burgess Owens, the Super Bowl champion. So he is a dear friend, and you don't know how much I appreciate you coming all the way from Utah, and he's headed back tonight. So thank you. And I don't know if Morgan's made his way around. He may still be in the back there, but Morgan Luttrell and I came in together. We met on the first day, I think, of Congress School, and been a true pleasure. He is a veteran. He came in, and I want both of them. Burgess came in with a mission. The man's mission has always been education, and I knew that. I've been knowing that because it's all he's ever pushed, is making sure that these young people can get an education. And Morgan's been on a mission. It's all about veterans. And you find that when people go to Congress, and y'all, this is free. This ain't costing no extra. But you find when people go to Congress on a mission, instead of just going up there to hang out, that they actually go and accomplish things and get them done. I don't know if y'all saw Morgan on the news at the White House just 2 weeks ago talking about, he's going to be surprised, I'm going to get this right, neuroplastogens. And how he has pushed to get that in the United States. Because right now, veterans have to go to Mexico to get that treatment. And it's just, I just want you to know that how much we appreciate. I know you're going and you're retiring, but you don't know how much I've enjoyed serving with both of y'all. And I don't know, where's Clay at? Clay's the rookie. He came in, and Clay, I don't know if you think that the last few weeks have been normal, but that's normal right now, brother. We were on the floor debating until 2:30 in the morning, and then we wound up having votes at 9:45 that morning, and then we all got out there, I guess, about 4 o'clock that afternoon. So, but Clay, welcome to the party. I tell you, like they told me when I was a freshman, I like my coffee black, no sugar, no cream, okay? No, listen, I've got so many friends here. I've seen you all around and about before this thing started. I wanted to introduce my family. I know they're sitting over here. I know my mom's here. Appreciate you coming. My wife, Leanne, you know, and I see Dakota, and I know Dylan was here as well. But Leanne and I, we've been married for 37 years. I've renewed a contract a few times. No, you know, and actually, Leanne and I, we started a trucking company a little over 30 years ago with one truck, CIO1. And but I want to tell you, with the help of family and a great team, I mean, incredible people around us, we've been able to build that to what it is today. Just around 100 trucks out there, just hauling freight across this country. Just getting it done. And we've got 3 grown kids, 7 grandkids now. Finally got to number 7 about 3 weeks ago. Yeah. We're gonna give him about 8 more months, and we're gonna throw him over in dispatch and see how he does. So, but no, let's get this thing rolling. Listen, I tell people all the time, I think it's that 30+ years of just getting beat on in one of the most regulated and taxed industries that there is in this country, that was allowing me to be successful in going to Washington. And yes, passing 2 pieces of legislation, getting signed into law by 2 presidents, 2 parties in just 2 years. The Trank Act, you're exactly right, helps law enforcement get out there and fight these deadly drugs they're just killing our communities. And then the Lake and Riley Act. And y'all know the Lake and Riley Act. It was named for a young nursing student that was killed murdered in my district by an illegal alien that Joe Biden and Jon Ossoff let in. And all it does is it just makes sure that the violent illegal criminals, that they're picked up and deported sooner. And yeah, that was the first piece of legislation that President Trump signed when he returned to the White House. And in just 1 year's time, y'all, in 1 year, that simple little 3-4 page piece of legislation has taken over 20,000 illegal criminals off our streets. These bills didn't just pass because I dropped them in the hopper and went down there on the steps and did a press conference and called it a day. No, you see, I knew we could pass Lake and Riley out of the House because we had the majority. I mean, we could pass it on party lines. But I also knew that if I got bipartisan support, if I got Democrats to go along with it, we'd have leverage over in the Senate. So I didn't mind. I went door to door talking to Democrats. And that's what got that bill across the line in a bipartisan fashion. I mean, I even had Democrats tell me, Mike, I haven't seen a Republican in here to talk ever about pushing their bill. But y'all, I also had some others, like Jon Ossoff. He sat there quietly and didn't say a word while I told him how this piece of legislation was going to help save Georgians' lives from being killed and murdered by those illegal aliens out there. But he didn't do anything. You see, that's the difference between being in the private sector, in a do-or-die business, one where you piddle around and make the wrong decisions, you'll go out of business. But that's something you don't know, and Washington has little knowledge about up there. See, I'm proud that my campaign is supported by Lake and Riley's family, by the National Border Patrol Council, Turning Point Action, which is founded by Charlie Kirk. CPAC, Club for Growth, Newt Gingrich. Hell, over 200 local and state officials, which many of them are here in the room with us today. And there's a reason they're with me. It's because I deliver results. I know how to win. When I say I'm going to do something, I get it done. I just don't operate like a typical politician out there. Because you see, if passing bipartisan legislation that helped Georgians was easy, I mean, everybody'd do it, right? And the Senate would certainly be a whole lot better off. But let me ask you folks something. How many times have we seen Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House and still struggle? And it always seems that the Senate, that's the problem. Now listen, I'm an old businessman, so I got a deal for you. I look for the best deal that I can get out there. Now, if you're looking for a conservative Republican and you want a conservative government, how about a 2-for-1? With me as your nominee, we don't just get to replace Jon Ossoff, but we're going to replace the Democrat with an actual conservative who will fight, and I mean fight. listen, our problem in Washington is not that we don't have enough Republicans. It's that we don't always have the right Republicans. You see, we got Republicans up there, man, they'll spend your money as fast as a Democrat will. And they're too afraid that if they say no too much, that when they do their annual golf fundraisers, that these D.C. lobbyists won't show up. Well, guess what? I don't play golf, and I don't do the cocktail circuit. Listen, we don't need politicians sending billions of dollars overseas. Not when we got veterans sleeping up under bridges. We don't need politicians. We don't need politicians getting rich on stock trades up there. Or politicians that walk around and run around talking about how conservative they are, but then turn around and vote like a Democrat. Now listen, hear me now. Any Republican is better than a Democrat. But just because you have an R beside your name doesn't mean that you'll stand up and take the tough votes that put Americans first. And I've not just promised that I would do that, but I've delivered on my promises. You can go look at every conservative voting system you can find. There's no one in this race with a better conservative voting record than me. You know, campaign slogans are cheap, and these slick advertisements are expensive. But the right voting record, man, that's priceless. See, I will never apologize for being America first. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell y'all something. As a matter of fact, I am unapologetically pro-God, pro-Trump, pro-Second Amendment. I believe in a strong military. Peace through strength works. If it's not good for Georgia and it's not good for this country, I will never support it. And y'all, we need to replace Jon Ossoff with someone who will put our state first, not California and New York. Y'all know this. Jon Ossoff doesn't represent this state, our people, or our values. I mean, he's nothing but essentially California's third senator. In fact, Jon Ossoff is as to Georgia as putting pistachios in Pepsi. That's good. I don't care who you are. Listen, President Trump brought us back from the brink from where Joe Biden and Democrats like Jon Ossoff took us. And we need to take advantage of every opportunity to deliver a safer, more productive, more affordable America. But right now, the holdup is in that Senate. And Jon Ossoff is blocking the progress at every opportunity. I mean, he voted to shut down the government to give illegals health care, men and women's sports, and he supported Joe Biden's open border that allowed in these killers like Jose Ibarra. And he opposes the Save America Act, which the majority of Americans out there support. I mean, that's just common sense. But now Jon Ossoff, man, he's opposed to that. Listen, Georgians want bipartisan productivity and common sense. And that comes from being a small business owner who knows how to solve problems. They want someone who would just go to Washington and fight for them. Like nursing students in Athens, young families out there trying to buy a home, our veterans, or our farmers who struggled for decades because of a broken Washington. Or just anyone who wants a smaller, more productive government. So yeah, man, I look forward to prosecuting the case against Jon Ossoff, his first term versus my first term. Governor Kemp got it right when he said, you can't beat Jon Ossoff with a career politician. When I'm on that stage in October, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a successful small businessman who learned the hard lessons, being in the trucking industry, who actually delivered for the people of the state of Georgia, versus Jon Ossoff, a guy who's never had a real job in his life, who has voted with those California crazes, those New York nut jobs to make your life less safe, more expensive, and less free. Now, y'all, we're going to talk about affordability, because I voted to cut taxes. Jon Ossoff, nah, he voted to raise your taxes. We're going to talk about health care, because I voted to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse so that Americans who actually need assistance could have access to the care that they earned and deserve. Jon Ossoff, man, he voted to drive up the cost by burdening our systems with these illegal immigrants. And that's why Jon Ossoff will need every penny that he has raised to defend that crazy record. Y'all, look, I cannot say this enough. The bulk of his money comes from California and New York, those far left activists. So, you want to beat a tough incumbent? You better put up the toughest fighter. I am the only candidate who's built a grassroots fundraising program with donations from every county in Georgia, from all 50 states and territories. I've organized all 159 counties with over 800 convoy captains out there. And if you're a convoy captain, thank you so much. Listen, you don't win our state anymore by having the most TV ads. It takes a grassroots operation. And the other candidates, either they didn't care enough to do it, or they didn't inspire volunteers enough to sign up for them. Whatever the case, that would be a recipe for disaster for us in November if you put up a milquetoast nominee. Now, I look at everything from a business perspective, being a businessman. So let's just quickly look at some numbers. In every single poll, don't care if it's UGA, AJC, whatever, I've been leading in the primary. And y'all, we've got a dominating lead, and it's not because I'm being propped up by somebody or I've spent the most money. It's because we work hard, we've got the best organization, the best record, the best message, and that's what it's going to take to defeat Jon Ossoff. And everyone knows I'm polling base with the MAGA base, and it's because they know I've been with President Trump even when it wasn't popular. I mean, I stayed out there on the trail fighting. But what y'all may not know is that I polled best against Jon Ossoff in a head-to-head matchup, and I performed best with suburban voters and women. And why is that? I mean, is it because I got the best hair in the race? Well, maybe, I don't know. No, it's because those voters are resonating with the fact that I'm not a career politician. I'm a businessman who gets results. And when tragedy struck in Georgia, I put politics to the side and did the right thing when Jon Ossoff wouldn't. Those are the voters. Those are the voters that you got to persuade to succeed in November. That's why we're the only candidate out there, y'all, that is tied or within the margin of error with Jon Ossoff in every single general election poll. So, what's your pathway to victory, Mike? Our pathway to victory is the same. It's the same as what Governor Kemp used and President Trump. You've got to turn out low-propensity Trump voters, and you got to have a message for the Atlanta suburbs. Yeah, the suburban and independent voters out there, man, they just want results. They want someone to go to Washington and just fight for them. And I've always delivered on that. See, you don't beat Jon Ossoff by having no record. You win by having a record of results. I've shown that you can go to Washington and put Georgians first. You don't have to listen to your donors in California and New York. Jon Ossoff can't say that. You can pass bipartisan legislation that makes the lives of Georgians safe and more secure, and you don't have to sacrifice your values to do it. See, the secret to my success is that I've already learned the hard lessons in the real world. When to compromise, when not to budge, how to make sure that we get the best deals so that we keep families fed and employees employed. Just stay in business. Because y'all, I swear, there's sometimes I wondered if the government's sole job was not to just put me out of business. And that's the perspective that I took with me and that I vote with. You want to defeat Jon Ossoff and also put a real conservative fighter in the Senate? Because I'm going to tell you something. Lord knows we need some more backbone over there. If that's what you're looking for, I need your help. I'm Mike Collins.
Got it.
Help me get to the U.S. Senate, and I promise, this old trucker will deliver.